On your Tuesday episode of Locked On Raptors, move over, Stanley. There's only one cup we care about, and it's the NBA Cup, where the Raptors maybe have a shot to come out of their terrible group.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Tuesday, November the 12th, and I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 11 seasons on various platforms. You can follow my work over on Blue Sky. Yeah, we left the Hell website, baby. We pulled the plug. We're on Blue Sky at woodleysean.whatever. Go find me over there. You can find the show on Instagram at Locked On Raptors. You can join us on Discord. The link is in the description of the podcast for the Discord server for the show. Lots of sickos in there, just like you, who love the podcast, like talking about the Raptors instead of doing work tasks throughout the day. No productivity going on for any of the people in the Discord, and we, frankly, rate it. You can, of course, also go to the Locked On Raptors newsletter, link in the description. It's free. You get 5 days a week of me writing about your Toronto Raptors. You get Katie Heindel 4 days a week with national stories. You get Michael Shearer once a week. You get Josh Lloyd's fantasy tips, and it's all for the low price of On the House. Please join us on the newsletter train. It's just leaving the station. You want to get on now while you can. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. You can start the season big with a return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started, and we'll get started here on an episode I'm very excited about as we look ahead to the NBA Cup, which starts tonight. Raptors, Bucks, 2-8 versus 2-9, but it's been made interesting by extra stakes. We love it, and we are here to preview the Toronto Raptors and their terrible group. We'll talk a little bit like the Raptors start of the season and all of that as well, and make our full NBA Cup predictions with the wonderful James Herbert outside the NBA from CBS Sports. James, welcome in, buddy. It's been too long. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I'm glad I finally got off my ass and asked you to come back on the show. It's great when you're on. It's been almost a year. It's frankly unforgivable on my end, but that's okay. We got the NBA Cup here to talk about today, and let's just dive in. First off, we will get to your thoughts on the fighting 2-9 Toronto Raptors in a second, but I do have to ask you, are you a Cuphead? And no, I'm not talking about the Nintendo Switch video game, which is very, very good. I guess it's on other consoles as well, but I'm a Switch man, so I don't care about the other consoles. We can talk about Cuphead if you want and some bonus content. But NBA Cup, you like it? You hate it? Are you the kind of person who hates fun and is like, this isn't cool? Or are you a person with like a brain who thinks, wow, extra stakes in November basketball? This is great.
It was a leading question, Sean.
It was,
but I do have a brain. I do like the NBA Cup. Maybe I'm a Cuphead. I did like it a lot last year. I mean, I was pretty optimistic about it going in, but I wasn't necessarily like a full-on like dong-ho Cuphead until I actually saw it. But I was into it, man. Like I thought those games were played with like noticeably more kind of intensity than the average, November game on the schedule. I think the players did end up, for the most part, buying into it and wanting to win it. I mean, when you give them a new thing to try to get, these are some of the most competitive people in the world. So just naturally, they end up wanting to get that thing. It helps that there's a little bit of a financial incentive in there. And I think that is part of it in terms of, even if you are a max contract guy and you don't need it, like there are some players who were on, two-way contracts or on minimum contracts or whatever, where like this could actually be like a meaningful amount of money for them. So I do think just, for example, if you watch the Netflix series where they really spent a lot of time kind of hyping up the NBA Cup, like I do think a lot of this stuff, not 100% of it, but I think like most of the stuff that you heard there was like genuine. Like I do think people wanted it, and especially once you get closer. Like once teams were playing for the right to go to Vegas and then the right to advance, at that point, like you could tell, like teams were treating it like playoff games, like rotations were getting shorter. There was interesting stuff going on at the end of games in terms of the point differential during the group stage. And I like all of that. It introduces kind of a new wrinkle in the regular season. I would maybe prefer that it came along with a shortening of the schedule at the same time, but I have not been granted my wish, and I can just keep talking about it year after year, and nothing seems to change. So that part of it is a little annoying. I think there have been some kind of rough consequences with regard to the schedule. You're even seeing now, like early on this year, there's like a rash of injuries. A lot of them are like, strained hamstrings and the like soft tissue injuries, like overwork injuries. Like I do think there is a kind of compressed element to the schedule that is a little bit weird now. It's not all the way worse, but I just thought when they introduced the cup, like maybe part of it, like maybe a feature of it would be you're introducing this other thing that's supposed to bring in extra viewers and bring in extra revenue and make this stuff more important. Maybe because of that, we don't need to have quite as many games as we did before. Right. Maybe just be a natural kind of trade-off, and they haven't approached it that way. So that part of it's a bummer, but in terms of the actual like level of competition, the entertainment product, like I'm in, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Like at the very least, these are NBA regular season games with very competitive athletes playing basketball. Like if there's a small way to make that into a thing they care even a little bit more about, that's amazing. NBA players playing in basketball games they care about is basically the best thing on TV. So yeah, I'm glad that there was some buy-in to it. And I know there was this sort of reticence last year of like, well, like they just invented it. Why would anyone care about this thing? Like, no, you got to have it like build a little bit. You got to have some history sort of build up, some lore, and eventually people will grow to care. And it does feel even like after 1 year, the Lakers winning it, the Lakers-Pacers final being this fun, cool matchup between an old guard team and this sort of up-and-coming team that maybe is no longer up-and-coming. We'll see. It's we can leave that one for another time. But yeah, I think we will talk about the Pacers coming up in a sec, actually. But I just think having that extra element of competition, that extra sort of juice, like eventually people will care about it, not on the same level as a championship, which is fine. You're not looking for that, but to actually make it so players want to win the thing, there certainly seems to be that much of buy-in already, and we're only a year into this thing. The Raptors, James, they are 2-9. They are not super good. They have the worst defense in the NBA at the time we're recording this on Monday afternoon. Not what you want. Do you see the Raptors, based on what you've seen from them, being a plucky cup team? Do they have the juice in the short 7-game stretch that is the NBA Cup? There are 82-game teams. There are 16-game teams. There are 7-game teams. Can the Toronto Raptors be a 7-game team?
I think they have a better chance of being a 7-game team than the other two options that you laid out there. Part of the fun of this tournament is that a team can get hot. And a team can, if they're just sort of annoying to play against, if they play really fast, if they happen to make a bunch of their threes, like you can go on a run. And I think the Raptors, at least in theory, are one of the teams that are capable of doing that. But I mean, the other side of that is I think virtually everybody is at least capable of doing that. Like that, I don't think, say, the Utah Jazz are going to, like there's a few teams that are just, I can't see it. The Raptors have been the worst defensive team in the NBA in terms of defensive rating right now. Offensively, though, they've been average, and some games you watch them and they look a lot better than average. I think, aesthetically speaking, the offense has exceeded my expectations coming into the year, especially if you were to tell me that they're not going to have Quickly for almost all of it and they're not going to have Barnes for almost all of it. I've been impressed with RJ Barrett just like everybody else has. I've been impressed with Grady Dick just like everybody else has. I think even a guy like Jakob Poeltl, like if you watch what he's doing night to night, it's like he's not like a story. But if you just watch the way that he kind of ties the team together offensively, he gives them some stuff defensively they don't really get anywhere else. It's not enough, clearly. The team has still struggled to get stops, but like I think you can watch them night to night and appreciate what a guy like that is doing. I think you can watch them and appreciate the point of attack defense that they got from Shed and from Mitchell. And now it's about reintegrating Quickly and kind of figuring out what that looks like. They have this like sort of egalitarian offense, also an offense that leans on RJ Barrett to at least initiate a ton, and now Quickly's going to be doing a lot of that. So like I'm curious, like I'm interested to keep watching them. They have been quite entertaining this year. As for how good they have been, I mean, they've been okay. Like the defense has been real bad. I think them losing like 5 or 6 close games already this year is sort of ideal if what you're looking for this season is that they tank and get a high draft pick, but you're also looking for them to be competitive. Like they have been a competitive team. And all you need in the NBA Cup, to go back to your original question, is that they are competitive, and then these close games that they've been losing virtually all of, they actually win a few. And if they can string a few of those together, then who knows?
You also need a favorable draw in the group stage, of course, which the
Yes.
Toronto Raptors just might have, James. We're going to come back on the other side, and we are going to get into the group the Raptors will be contesting. Group B in the Eastern Conference. If there's a group of death, this ain't it. We will get into why that is and handicap the Raptors' chances of coming out of it in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by a new sponsor, Mint Mobile. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Sometimes between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they meet it. You can say bye-bye to overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages, that is. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month. Go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. $45 upfront payment required. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Back at it here with James Herbert, Jimmy Herbs from CBS Sports as we continue our look at the NBA Cup and the Toronto Raptors' place within it. The group the Toronto Raptors find themselves in. We'll preview the rest of the groups in the final segment, make some predictions and all that. But Group B, the Toronto Raptors are alongside the Milwaukee Bucks, who they play Tuesday night, the Indiana Pacers, the Detroit Pistons, who they'll play at home on Friday in Cup action, and the Miami Heat. None of those teams blowing the doors off of anybody. I think only one of them is at 500. The rest are below 500. Raptors Bucks tonight, the most thrilling matchup of 2-8 and 2-9 you will ever see because it's the Cup. So James, can the Raptors make their way out of this group? What would your sort of predicted record be within this group? Are they like clearly just the doormats of the group? Are they the Iceland that's about to get stomped by all of these excellent high-level European and South American teams? Or do they have a shot of being the sort of plucky team that finds their way through and makes themselves into, at the very least, a wild card team? I suppose we should lay out the rules. You got to win the group or be the second best overall team as far as record and or point differential goes to be the wild card team to make it into the quarterfinals among the 4 teams to advance. James, what you got?
I don't know that I would pick the Raptors, but it wouldn't be crazy if they were to make it out of this group. I think the Bucks have they have thoroughly unimpressed this year. I was at their game the other night in New York, and they're starting Andre Jackson Jr. now, which you understand. Like Doc is talking about pregame, how they're just desperate for a stopper. Not that he wants to call him a stopper yet, but he kind of fits like the outlines of like what a stopper looks like. He is.
Wait, Gary Trent Jr. is not that?
Apparently not. Although Doc at the very beginning of the year was very excited about Trent's defense, but he's actually hurt right now. Like he's dealing with back spasm. That's a whole other thing they're dealing with. But they had Jackson in the starting lineup, and then in the second half, because they really couldn't score, they end up putting AJ Green in that spot instead. And like, I kind of like Green. Like, I think he's an underrated defender. People look at him, they feel like he probably can't guard anybody, and he's like a really, really, really good shooter. So like, I wanted him to play more. I wanted Jackson to play more before they put him into the starting lineup. But the fact that like this is where we are is a bummer. Like the last few years, like obviously the big trade that happened was the Lillard Holiday deal. But beyond that, it's like you have just seen this team get like older and slower and shallower in a way that is like quite concerning. And that like, even if you just look at like these second units they throw out there where it's like Giannis and 4 bench guys, it kind of doesn't really matter who the 4 bench guys are. Cause like I said, the starting lineup has changed, but like they just like never look good in those scenarios. I think they obviously like just like they really need Middleton back, but I also think it's unfair to expect that Middleton is just going to fix everything. Like they're going to have to kind of be cautious with his minutes in terms of building him back up. Defensively, I don't think you can ask him to guard the same kind of players that he was guarding like years ago. I think we've already seen some slippage from him in recent years, and that was before having like double ankle surgery last summer. So expectations for them are understandably muted. Like, could they go on a run? Are they the most talented team? Like, yes. And yes, I think they are the most talented team. I think Giannis is by far the best player in this group. He individually is having an awesome season. It's just nobody really cares because the Bucks have sucked so far. I thought Lillard was going to have this big bounce back year. I thought it was like the most obvious call in the world. His last year in Portland, like statistically, was the best year of his entire career. And then I thought there were a bunch of reasons why it didn't look that great last year. And this year it's looked a lot like it did last year again. So not awesome. Beyond that, I mean, I don't know who is particularly excited about the way the Heat have started this season or the way the Pistons have started this season. And Pistons sort of like the opposite of the Raptors. Like their defense is like decent and their offense is absolutely garbage. The Heat are just sort of average in every way. And then the Pacers, they did get to the finals last year. Like I think I'll pick
There's pedigree here. There's pedigree in this group, you're saying.
I'll pick the Pacers for a plucky in-season tournament team. But this is the second time it's ever happened. Do we really go with because I've seen it before? That just feels stupid. It's more just I kind of like the Pacers. I like their talent. They're not super healthy right now. Like Nembhard's going to be out for a while. Who's the other guy that's out for a while? Neesmith's out for a while.
All of their backup centers tore their Achilles.
Yeah, they're both backups. They're done for the year. But no, Neesmith and Nembhard, them being out does hurt, obviously. But also on the other hand, it's like, all right, like they do have Ben Shepherd. That's more opportunity for him. It's more opportunity for Mathurin, who I think has had some encouraging games lately. So, I would not be shocked to see them kind of go on a run similar to the one that we saw last year. Halliburton has got to get to that level, though. And he has not done that consistently this year. That's for sure.
Yeah. So the odds right now, the Bucks are the favorite to win the group, which seems crazy to me considering the start. I know it's not a good group. I know Giannis is the best player, but man, the Pacers are second, the Heat third, the Pistons fourth, the Raptors a distant fifth. Yeah. Oh, the anti-Canada bias by FanDuel. Can you believe it? I think, I would probably not go and pencil in the Raptors to go and win the group necessarily. They've had a hard time winning games. We know that when you get into the pressure cooker that is the NBA Cup and you get into crunch time, much like the NBA playoffs, it's just a different sport, right? And so, it's really going to test the mettle of this team that has not really been able to close out games when it's not mattered, let alone when it does matter more than it will for them all season long. This is what you want when you're a rebuilding team: experience and high pressure moments, baby. I think they can get a result against the Bucks tonight. I would think, to use soccer parlance, get a result. The Bucks aren't playing very well. They seem like they're ripe to kind of catch an upset. They've lost games to bad teams throughout the season. That's been kind of their whole deal. And then the Pistons coming up Friday, like there's a chance they could be 2-0 in group play early on and put themselves in a pretty decent spot to at least get a wild card spot. I'm picking the Raptors to beat them. I don't care if it's a homer pick. I'm doing it. The Bucks are a sad sack franchise right now. Raptors feeling the juice of the NBA Cup. Going to go pull out a game on Tuesday. The Heat. Let's quickly hit on them because I kind of think I might pick the Heat to win the group. But I don't feel good about it. Like whoever wins this group might win it at 2-2. It could be really ugly. And you might not get the wild card out of this. Although the sort of other side of the coin is all the other groups are a little more stacked. So maybe the win totals are suppressed a little bit. And so the wild card does in fact come out of this group. The intrigue is off the charts. I'm sounding facetious. I promise I'm not. I love it. But yeah, the Heat, they're weird. Tyler Hero's playing like good basketball, which is strange. Bam Adebayo still not hitting threes despite all of the reports. Where are you at with the Heat, and do you give them a puncher's chance to win this group?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like you look at the Heat, like what do? Like when nobody expects anything of them, they go and they reel off a bunch of wins. Like this is usually done in the playoffs, not the play-in.
NBA Cup, Jimmy, let's go.
But if you look at this group, just the way that it's laid out, I don't think you can like overlook them at all. Like it would not surprise me at all if they ended up winning this group. I think like if Jimmy goes into like NBA Cup Jimmy mode, if that becomes a thing, that would be interesting. I think he missed their last game though. I don't know what his health status is right this second. But obviously they need him to play well. But yeah, I mean, if they're actually going to approach this like it's the playoffs, they have a really good playoff coach, and they have some guys who've gotten it done in the playoffs, and they have a bunch of different ways that they can score. They got it's an interesting team. It's a weird team that I haven't quite wrapped my head around early in the year, but it's like they're kind of okay on both ends right now. So that's like more than what a lot of these teams in this group can say.
Yeah, that's for sure. They're 18th in offense, 15th in defense. It's like the Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, Indiana Pacers zone of they're pretty much average at both things. So let's just predict it 1 through 5. What's the order? What's the record? Is there a wild card team coming out of this group before we go and predict the full thing?
What if the records are all the same and we're just talking about point differential?
That would be a dream, James. A dream.
That would be wild. So I'm doing this on the fly because all I did was pick the winners of the groups. But
right,
I'll go Pacers, Heat, Bucks, Raptors, Pistons. Or I'll go with you. I'll go Raptors, Bucks, Pistons. There you go.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna go. Am I gonna pick the Heat? I guess I'll pick the Heat. They're grimy. They'll win the game. Yeah, I'll go Heat, win the group with like a 3-1. The Raptors and the Pacers come in tied at 2-2, and whatever the math works for the Bucks and the Pistons to finish 3-4. I think that'll be my prediction. They'll be looking at point differential for that wild card spot, which again, point differential in the middle of November. I can't imagine a more fun thing, frankly. We're going to come back on the other side here, James, rattle through our predictions for the rest of the NBA Cup. Yeah, there are other groups other than Group B. Who will win them? We'll tell you who. Coming up in just 1 sec. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel, the #1 sportsbook in North America, which you can go and check out and win big on NFL action to start the season, although the season's progressed quite deeply now. But either way, on America's #1 sportsbook, you can go and throw down a $5 bet and get $150 in bonus bets if you win that bet. That's cool. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Of course, you can also go throw some money down on the NBA Cup. Who wins the whole thing? Who wins each group? The Raptors plus 1,100 to win their group. That's a nice payout if they go and win. Of course, the Bucks plus 175, Pacers plus 230, Heat plus 250, and Pistons plus 850, all there to be bet on as well. Same with all the other teams. You can just outright winner, who's going to make the final. It's all there. Go check it out over at FanDuel. Make that first $5 bet, win, and get $150 in bonus bets into your account to go and play with at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Wrapping it up here with NBA Cup expert James Herbert from CBS Sports as we run through the remaining groups outside of Group B in the Eastern Conference. Let's stick in the East here, and we're just going to rattle through. Quick thoughts, rapid fire. Who wins the group? Will a wild card team emerge? And we'll spitball this quick. Group A in the Eastern Conference: the Knicks, the Magic without Paolo Banchero, the Sixers, they're the Sixers, the Nets and the Hornets, kind of also an ass group if we're being real. Who's coming out of Group A in the Eastern Conference?
I picked the Knicks. I don't feel great about it. There's not a single team that I could pick and feel great about it right now. Like, sure, if Paolo had stayed healthy and the Magic had played like they had right at the beginning of the year, then sure, they would be the favorites. Look, the Knicks offense is insane. Their defense is, if it's insane, it's like the bad kind of insane. Very dependent kind of on who they're playing. Even their offense in some ways is dependent on who they're playing. Like, they, against teams that switch a lot, they've had some pretty rough nights, but like generally, like you look at their numbers, I think they're second in offense right now. Like, they've had some absolutely crazy efficient games. They're just a really hard team to defend. They have so much more spacing than Tom Thibodeau has ever had before in his time coaching the NBA, and he's coached in the NBA a long time. It just looks drastically different watching this team play. It's strange to see a team so thoroughly change its identity from one season to another, but they do have a formula that does remind me a little bit of some of the teams, like the Pacers last year, and like some of the teams that last year you just felt like if you catch this team and you're like kind of tired and it's the wrong night, they will just pile up a ton of points on you and you will look helpless. That's a decent formula, I think, based on our very small sample of NBA Cup games that we have. Like, I think that's a formula to maybe get out of a group. So I'll take the Knicks. I don't have any of these teams winning the wild card.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think the Knicks are going to look. Trying times forge bonds. The NBA Cup, the tryingest of times for all these teams in the early going. This is where the Knicks find their footing. It's where they figure out their defense and they go and absolutely crunch the other teams in their group. They're going 4-0. They're walking to the top seed in the Eastern Conference. They will play the wild card team, maybe your Toronto Raptors. Yes, did you have something you wanted to add in?
I want to shout out the team in my backyard, the Brooklyn Nets, maybe the hardest playing team in the NBA, definitely the most physical defensive team in the NBA, the foulingest team in the NBA, which is related to the other two things that I said. They have been like way more fun than anyone kind of bargained for coming into this year. They're not super good, but they're not all the way bad either. And I do think they're another team that could be just annoying to play in this context, but I don't feel strong enough about their overall talent to actually pick them to be a wild card or win the group.
Yeah,
just
you're lucky.
Nets,
yeah, sure. This is an anti-Nets podcast. We don't much care for their work. I was about to mute you, but you got it in pretty quickly, so we can move on. Oh, wow. Jared Allen as a gnome and a bobblehead. That's fun. Speaking of Jared Allen, Group C, the Cleveland Cavaliers haven't lost a game yet. They're pretty awesome. The Boston Celtics, the Chicago Bulls, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Washington Wizards. Probably the group of death in the East. If there is a group of death in the East, only two of these teams can come out. Probably only two of these teams are coming out. Is it just Celtics and Cavs getting 1-2 in some order?
That's what I have. I mean, I picked the Celtics to win the group and the Cavs to get the wild card. It's going to come down to like how they play against each other, right? Like I don't see any real reason why these teams should struggle to beat the other teams in their group. Now anything can happen in one game, but like it's an unusual group of death because it's like these two teams are by far the best teams in the conference. So in that way, it's a group of death. But then you look at the others, it's like, yeah, I mean, the Hawks are okay. Like, I don't know. Like it's a different one. So yeah, I mean, I think these are the two teams that I would say are most likely to come out. I can't really argue with you if you have the Cavs instead of the Celtics. It's kind of like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think the Cavs, I mean, maybe the law of averages says they'll lose a game at some point here, and that knocks them down to 3-1 as opposed to 4-0, just because they've won 11 to start the year, or is it 12 now? Either way, they rock. They're so fun. But yeah, I'll say Cavs 1, Celtics 2. Why not? Let's keep it rolling. Cavs start 25-0 and beat the Warriors record. What was it? 24-0 was the Warriors record?
24, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, watch out, Warriors. You're toast. I do want to just quickly remark upon the Atlanta Hawks, who, like you said, they're fine. They're not very good, but there's the sick sort of NBA wing perv in me who really, really wanted to see the Anunoby, Siakam, Barnes trio work. That is really digging the Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Risache trio. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. They might be good in a couple of years. They're not really good yet, but give me the weird wing guys playing weird wing ball all day long. I don't think they're going to win games in this group enough to get through, but yeah, I'll say Celtics, Cavs, or Cavs, Celtics 1-2, both making it on, which I guess would mean they play each other in the quarterfinals as well. Because I think the winning team in Group B is going to be either a 3-1 with a bad point differential or 2-2 straight up. I'll go with the Heat there. You're going Pacers there?
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to say Raptors. I'm a homer, but I also am not insane. Wouldn't be shocked if the Raptors pull it out, though. I think of all of the groups, this is the one with the most likely sort of shot at a weird upset team coming out, and the Raptors
for sure
qualifies that. Let's go to the West real quick. Group A, Wolves, Clippers, Kings, Rockets, Blazers, who are a big old disaster under brain genius Chauncey Billups. What you got in Group A for the cup here? The 2 teams coming out, just one. What you got?
I picked the Clippers to be the team coming out. I did not have anybody else as the wild card from this group. Yeah, I mean, is this a crazy take? Like, I think this is a super well coached team. Their defense is crazy, and offensively, I mean, if they're in a close game, I'm not like worried about them being able to execute. Like, they still do have James Harden kind of going and picking at matchups. I mean, you saw the other night, like the Raptors could have easily like won that game. They didn't. Yeah. Like the Clippers just out executed them down the stretch. And yeah, I don't know. They're a fun team. They're the super cool defensive team. Norm Powell has been playing out of his mind this year. Zubats has been really good this year. Like, I kind of dig him.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Like, I think there's 3 teams that could probably win this group. I'm going to go with the Kings. I have quite enjoyed watching the Kings this year. The fit shouldn't make sense, but it kind of does. I know Malik Monk's hurt. That's a bummer, but I think they have enough other shot creation and shot making to fill in for that loss at the moment. You know, the Rockets are there. I haven't like super loved the Rockets as much as they're everyone's darling team. The Wolves, I disavowed my love for the Wolves when they traded Karl Anthony Towns and ruined their damn team. So out of principle, I'm not picking them to win. I'm going to say Kings, and yeah, I'm going to go no wild card out of this group too. Group B, some injury, bad luck befalling the Thunder with Chet Holmgren. Sucks, really bad, terrible injury. But the Thunder, Suns, Lakers, Jazz, and Spurs, I think we can rule out 2 of these teams for sure. Lakers, Suns, or Thunder, who's making it through?
I picked the Suns, but I don't feel great about any of this. Like, they don't have KD. Like, it's just going to look different. Watching them last night, it was last night or the night before, whenever the hell they played Sacramento. I really wanted Ryan Dunn to get more minutes and be in there, like to close, for example. They had Royce O'Neal just getting cooked by DeMar on like consecutive possessions just over and over and over again. But, you know, I think Bud has done a really good job coaching that team in general this year. Like, they're shooting more threes. They look like a Bud team in terms of all the numbers. Like, their defense has been pretty good. Like, I think Nurkic is having a lot of fun playing for Bud. I think Tyus Jones is having a lot of fun, like being a starter and playing with the guys that he's playing with, and he's fit in super well. I'm not as excited about them without KD, but I got to pick somebody. Everybody's got somebody hurt. It's like, yeah. Is this eye injury going to be a thing? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't really want to pick the Lakers
night.
Anyway. Yeah. Like, I don't really want to pick the Lakers anyway. Like, I just don't really think that's a particularly good team. The Thunder are awesome.
Well, they've got the pedigree, James. They're NBA Cup season in a way no one else is.
This is true. So I guess you can't
underestimate the heart of an NBA Cup champion. Come on now.
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe that's going to be the difference maker. I wanted to pick the Thunder before Chet got hurt last night. That's just one of like the most like bummerific news items of the year. With Hardenstein already out, with Jay Will out, with even Kenrich Williams, who's not a center at all, but he's 6'7" and kind of pretends to be one, with him out. It's like they just don't have any bigs. Like are they going to bring back Biyombo? Like, what are they going to do? I
Is
don't
Caruso
know.
their center now, maybe?
Caruso's been playing like quote unquote 5. Like, they basically just play these lineups where it's like 5 guards or 5 wings, like whatever you want to call it. They've been doing it all year out of necessity, but they've at least had one of the best rim protectors in the NBA to like start. And now they don't have that for, I believe, 6 to 8 weeks. So not
8 to 10, I believe.
Super great. There's 8. Oh God.
Yeah, it's bad.
8 to 10. Great. That's it.
You break your hip. That's gonna keep you out. Breaking your hip sounds.
So that's why I didn't pick them. But I mean, I kind of want to. They're super fun even when they're playing small. It's just teams are just going to attack the basket over and over and over.
Yeah, I do want to leave a little space for like maybe Wemby goes nut and Devin Vassell's back and the Spurs scrape through some results here, but I don't know if he's quite been in the form that is ready to really take it to the NBA Cup just yet. Maybe next year for Wemby in the Cup. West Group C. This is actually the group of death. Holy God! And if the Pelicans were healthy, it would be an absolute murderer's row. It's the Nuggets, who are fine, by the way, the Dallas Mavericks, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Golden State Warriors, and the Memphis Grizzlies. Holy crap, James. The group of death indeed. Who you got coming out of this one? And I'm guessing the wild card comes out of here too?
Yeah, I have the wild card out of here too.
Mhm.
I took the Warriors to win it, and I took the Grizzlies as the wild card. Now the Grizzlies are super banged up right now. Like at the moment, it's no Ja, no Bane, no Smart. Maybe Vince Williams will be back somewhat soon. Gigi Jackson is going to be out for a while longer. Like they obviously banged up, but they're a super deep team. Like at the beginning of the year, they were playing 11, sometimes 12 guys in their rotation. I like a lot of those guys. I like a lot of their reserves. Some of those reserves are now at least temporarily starters. They did get Kennard back recently. Like I think they have a style of play. They have an identity. And, you know, I don't know how long Morant's going to be out. I believe they said week to week, but like, I'm not just assuming that he's going to miss this entire thing. So I still feel like pretty decent about like where they're at and where they're going. And the Warriors have just been unbelievable. I can't their defense this year has been insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I am going to say the Nuggets come out because I'm a Nuggets believer. They're really good, as it turns out. Nikola Jokic, don't worry about teams Nikola Jokic plays on. They're going to figure it out. Relax, you freaks. I'm going to say Nuggets, and I'll say the Mavericks, I guess, come out as the maybe I don't. Is Luka going to care about the NBA Cup? This is key. I don't know if he will.
I don't know.
Yeah, he should, because of course it's as important as the playoffs. But I don't know if he's going to quite be there. Yeah, actually, I'm going to switch this up. I'm going to say Nuggets win the group outright, and I'm going to say the wild card comes from Group A, and I will go with your Clippers coming out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with. I don't actually think I picked a Group B team either. My 4 teams will be Kings, Clippers. I'll say, I guess the Sun. Yeah, I got to go with the experience. I'll go Lakers and Nuggets. They'll come out. And you've got your. Who do you got coming out of it again? Sorry.
I had Clippers, Suns, Warriors, and then the wild card is the Grizzlies.
Okay. So we don't need to go through the quarterfinals, semifinals matchups. Who you got coming out of each conference? Who wins the cup?
Warriors, Cavs, and Warriors getting revenge in their early season loss to Cleveland.
I like it. I'm going to go Knicks come out of the East, Nuggets come out of the West, Nuggets win it, and everyone bows at the altar of Nikola Jokic, one-time NBA champion, soon to be 4-time MVP, and one-time NBA Cup champion. An unassailable resume for old Nikola Jokic. James, this has been a delight. Thanks so much for hanging out, buddy. You got anything you want to promote for the good people out there?
Nothing just yet. I don't want to spoil the stuff I have coming, but I'm working on some things.
All right. Working on some things. The best plug you're going to get all day. You can find James at Outside the NBA on the socials. You can find me at Woodley Sean on Blue Sky now. I'm on Locked On Raptors on Instagram. You can find the Discord link in the description of the podcast. You can also go and check out the Locked On Raptors newsletter 5 days a week. I'll probably have some cup thoughts on Tuesday. I haven't written it yet because we're recording this on Monday, but that's what I'm trying to do probably. So you'll have that. And Katie Heindel 4 days a week. Michael Shear, basketball poetry once a week. Josh Lloyd fantasy stuff. It's all great. It's free, again, to your inbox every single day. So please subscribe. And with that, we will send you off into the rest of your day. Enjoy the beginning of the NBA Cup, the best night of the year, baby, November the 12th. And we'll be back again on Wednesday to talk all about it. Thanks so much for hanging. Bye-bye. That was terrible.